Welcome back to Great Western Buildings. I'm Eric Beavers. It's been a while since I've been able to release a video. I know we're supposed to be getting these out weekly, but things have been incredibly busy at the office, and I've been busy at the factory making a really cool scale model building for training and some of our visitors. I've had to be on some job sites recently, and my wife and I just welcomed a new member to our family, Mallory. Anyways, today we're going to jump right into another how-to. And due to numerous requests from our customers and builders, we're going to install a personnel door. I really got to thank Jeremy, one of our wonderful customers, for letting us come out to his job site to do this. Jeremy, you rock. This door kit is one of the standard kits we provide. It's made right here in the USA by Tell Manufacturing, and most of the available walk door kits for metal buildings are remarkably similar, with a few minor differences here and there, but I really like the Tell doors. This is a universal knockdown kit, and it only takes a few minutes to lay out and get the jambs and the header together. The nice thing with the universal kit is the door can be installed to swing in or out to the left or to the right. Here we're going to have it swing into the building to the right. I'm not really sure if that's left or right hand swing, in or out, or which orientation. It doesn't matter. I just want to make sure it's how our customer wants it. Before we started on the door, we did need to make sure that the building frame was 100% square and plumb, and that all the bolts on the building were tight. This is one of the very last steps before Jeremy can start sheeting the building, and we want to make sure that the building frame is finished, because if we make any adjustments to that at all, it could affect the operation of the door. Since the door kit is field located, meaning that it's not structurally designed into the building like a garage door, and this building has a low girt, we're going to need to cut that. So we'll start by removing the low girt and set it aside. We'll be back to that a little bit later. If your building doesn't have a low girt, you can skip this and move right into laying out the frame. No reason to mess with the door leaf or the lock set yet. The customer wanted the door as close to the corner of the building as possible to save the most interior space. I wanted to put it 3 feet from the corner just to make sheeting easier later. Jeremy wanted it to be only 1 foot from the corner, but that wouldn't leave enough room for us to get the bolts and install the door correctly. So we compromised at 2 feet. The door is exactly 3 feet wide, and to keep trimming easy and for a tight finish, we're keeping it at whole feet. The wall panel will slide into the door trim, and it's best for that to be on a high rib. The high ribs of the panels are on 1 foot centers, so that's why we went with 2 feet rather than 18 inches or 20 inches or something else. We also have 4 foot wide and a 6 foot wide double door, and they can all have narrow light glass or half glass. Install and trimming is the same for those larger doors. Start by attaching the door jambs to the door header, making sure that the weather strip kerf and latch hole are on the correct side of the building. The hinges and latch hole are equally spaced, which is why the door can be oriented in whichever way you desire. Now that the frame is together, we'll stand it up and use the supplied threshold to keep the bottom of the door frame in place. Some of these kits use a loose threshold, so you'll need to place that after you stand the door frame. I went ahead and marked a line exactly 2 foot from the edge of the building to use as my hold line. Get a helper to help you hold the door frame flush with the outside of the building, or what we call the steel line. And make some marks with the Sharpie at the center of each of the base plate holes. Now we can take the door frame back down and drill the holes for the anchors. I'm using my regular old Bosch hammer drill with a 5/8 inch bit. Drill down 7 or 8 inches, making sure to drill as straight as possible. Right now, I'm just hoping I don't hit any rebar. That'll take a while to get through. Like I said, this door is not a structural component of the building like the columns, so we just need to worry about anchoring the door itself. I like to use these 7 or 8 inch long wedge anchors. They're only a few bucks from the home center and are really easy to use. Remember that we supply all the steel bolts, screws, nuts, etc. that we engineer for the building. But due to liability, we don't engineer or supply anything that will be anchored into the concrete. You'll need to supply the appropriate anchor for your area or for your building. Don't worry, they're inexpensive and easy to find. Okay, it's time to go ahead and stand the door back up and get those bolts set. Now that the base is secure, we need to make sure the door jambs are plumb. I like to put a magnetic level on both door jambs, and if I have an extra one available, underneath the door header as well. Once those are completely plumb and level, or good enough for you, grab a clamp to hold the top of the frame in place. With a few panhead screws or pop rivets, secure the header to the outside of the girt at 7'4". Except for the occasional oddity, all Great Western buildings will have a girt at exactly 7'4". Your building will come with panhead screws, but I like to use pop rivets because of their lower profile. The 1/8 inch pop rivets supplied for your building's trim are fine to use, and we do supply plenty. Here, I'm using a 3/16 inch heavy duty rivet, just because I had them from another job, and since I have my electric rivet tool, I'm not worried about the difficulty of placing such large rivets. But we don't recommend using the hex head screws for this. The head of the screw will interfere when we go to place the head trim and the panels later. We also don't need the rivets to do all of the work. Later, we'll install wall screws with the panel that will go through the panel, the trim, the door header, and the girt. So this is just to make sure that the door frame is secure until we get the panels in. Okay, the hard part is over. Time for that door leaf. It always seems that I inevitably put the hinges on backwards, but with a little bit of planning and slowing down, we got it right on the first try. The hinges come with steel cutting and wood screws. We don't need the wood screws, and toss those out or save them for another project. Once the hinges are on the door leaf, grab a helper. It's time to make this thing an actual door. There are several types of lock sets: knobs, levers, levers with or without deadbolts, mortise lever sets, panic exits. But here we have just our standard grade 1 lever without a deadbolt. Also, if you have several doors on your building, we can have them all keyed alike by TEL at the factory. With a lever, you'll have to mark and drill 2 5/16 inch holes into the door leaf. I only had a 1/4 inch drill bit, so I had to work the holes a little. It's amazing what you can do with the wrong tool sometimes. If you have a knob, you don't need to worry about doing any drilling. It just fits right in. Instructions for the lock set are with the kit, and unless you install these regularly, which would make me wonder why you're watching this video, this part can be a little bit aggravating. So take your time. The door's not going to go anywhere. Finish up by installing the rest of the lock set hardware into the door jamb. Cut to length and install your weather stripping, set the threshold, and unless you have a low girt, you're done. Here we did need to reinstall the low girt. From the holes in the clip at the column, measure to the inside of the door jamb. I like to get this measurement and then cut about a 1/4 inch shorter just to make sure nothing binds up and I don't have to make another cut. It's important to remember that we measured from the holes in the clip, so lay out the cut from the holes in the girt as well. For heavy gauge cutting, I prefer to use my cutoff wheel. Make sure you're wearing ear protection and appropriate gloves. Cutoff wheels are dangerous and can really hurt you if they bind up and jump out of your hands. I wanted to share a picture from my old days in the shop, but my web guy said YouTube would block the video for graphic content, it'd be a whole thing. You can imagine the damage one of these things can do. My point is, protect yourself. Now we can install the girt. You'll need a clamp and a torpedo level. You can use the supplied panhead self-drilling screws, but here we're using the same pop rivets we used for the header. God, I love this electric pop rivet gun. One of the best tools I own. I like to keep multiple fasteners in line for aesthetics, especially on the inside of the building because they're not going to be covered up by trim or panels. Now we can repeat this process for the other side of the door, and it's a wrap. Later, if Jeremy lets us come back out while he's sheeting the building, we'll show you how to trim the door and do the panel install. Well, that's how we install a personnel door, and I really appreciate you hanging out to the end of this video. If you'd like to be notified of our future videos, please subscribe and hit the notification bell. Not only will it make sure you get to see new releases as they come out, but it also helps our channel quite a bit. If you have any questions, give us a call or drop a comment below. Even if it's not a Great Western building or a TEL door, we'd love to answer any questions you have and help if we can. Build great, and thanks for watching.